my god, dude, why is my computer so loud? I'm literally waiting for this piece of shit to cool down. Kenpachi Zaraki is among the Bleach fandom's favorite characters, being up there with the likes of Aizen, Byakuya, Grimmjow, Ichigo, you name it. However, I feel like when discussing Bleach's narrative, Kenpachi isn't really talked about all that much, as he's known for his brutal fights, and a lot of people like to say Bleach is boring and mid anyway, and apparently the characters are lacking. But when looking at it closer, Bleach's narrative has so much to offer, and especially with this guy who's the equivalent of a caveman. Let me speak my truth about the GOAT, and why you do not understand Kenpachi at all. Kenpachi Zaraki, even before becoming a captain, was capable of slaughtering members of the Soul Society, such as Unohana, the first Kenpachi. Even as a literal child, Kenpachi's ruthlessness and lust for battle and satisfaction led him to overcoming the likes of Unohana, and technically he'd be the next Kenpachi after this surely with this feat. Although we all call him Kenpachi, it's clear that Kenny is nowhere near his prime when we are first introduced to him. As someone who should be at the top among the captains, we see him literally losing to an Ichigo who doesn't even have his Bankai. Now there are some factors to take into account, like Kenpachi legit wanting Ichigo to harm him and Ichigo not really winning anyway, but the main thing to take away is that Kenny legit suppresses himself for the sake of a good fight. After beating arguably the best and climbing the ranks to captain, he was unsatisfied by this point, and in order to feel anything, he suppressed himself just so he could have a hard fight. And that is the same reason why he doesn't kill Unohana, because if he does, then who's gonna challenge him? This lust for battle parallels with the main character, Ichigo, very well, as Ichigo slowly, as the series goes on, his instincts slowly consume him. This was even hinted at in the Kenpachi fight with Ichigo, as he said that Ichigo definitely isn't just fighting solely to protect his friends, and that thrill of battle also excites him. For Kenpachi, that's really the only thing he has. He legit murders to survive, and besides this little shit, the only reason Kenpachi is even living right now is because he wants to be the strongest and win battles that excite him. I can already see people commenting how Kenpachi is just one-dimensional and he's just a caveman screaming, "Rah, get stronger," but that's not really true. It's not like he only says, "I want to get strong." There's actual layers to Brody, and I feel like from this perspective, it just makes every fight he participates in all the more satisfying. If you see Kenpachi as one-dimensional but you think his fights are enjoyable, then that's cool, but I think it's just all the more better when you look at the story and you take into account what Kenpachi's been through and apply it through all of his fights, and instead of saying you enjoy this fight, you're gonna be saying, "Holy shit, this man is him." And we know his fighting instinct defines him. However, it doesn't really work for Ichigo, as he does this through holification. But just as Ichigo is seemingly about to succumb to the darkness, Kenpachi is there to save bro and snap him out of it, as he proceeds to troll the number 5 Espada. He then uses two hands with his sword, which I'm sure won't be that big of a difference. He is him! Slowly but surely, Kenpachi would reach the power he once had when facing Unohana, and after suffering the most disgusting L he's ever taken by Yuha, he has to attain the power from the past in order to stand a chance, and to do so faces Unohana again. This battle reveals to us the truth of Kenpachi, and we see how much he and Unohana are alike, and despite both of them fighting to the death, they both highly respect the other. Which is funny, since Unohana tries to say that Kenpachi shouldn't do this, yet does this by the end of the fight. She would slap Kenpachi back into his former self, and after legit turning into bones, he'd still adapt to the conditions and kill the first Kenpachi. However, with this, Kenpachi would begin to break down, as the person he admired and the person he saw as the strongest is gone forever. But we know that this time there are individuals who he needs to overcome now, and surpasses Unohana. With this, he finally would attain his Zanpakuto, which in doing so cuts a fucking meteor. He then goes on to show how he reached new heights fighting someone who legit uses their imagination just to deal with the opponent. This is a cool dynamic, as Kenpachi is just a determined man on a mission who cuts down anything with a blade. He's very old school, and it really begs the question, would Kenpachi's adaptation be overwhelmed by someone's very imagination? And to answer this question, no, it would fucking not. And although he gets help in the end, we still see him face Gerard with his newly acquired I think this moment just speaks for itself. This is some of the best artwork in the series, and it's satisfying to see every Gotei's Bankai finally. Kenpachi's story wouldn't even end there, actually becoming the legit strongest around, with the only people being able to stop him are Ichigo and Aizen, who would have hypothetically won, and some other dude, I forgot who cares. This man, through pure passion, climbed to the top. It wasn't through crazy powers, strong bloodlines, etc. Bro just did it because he wanted to. Because Kenpachi is him!